The first light of dawn spilled over the rolling hills of Napa Valley, bathing the endless rows of grapevines in a golden glow. I, Emily Foster, stood at the edge of Foster Vineyards, my boots sinking into the soft, loamy soil. The air was crisp, carrying the earthy scent of the land and the sweet promise of ripe grapes. My heart swelled with anticipation. Today was the start of the harvest, the most sacred time of the year. For weeks, I'd walked these rows, tasting grapes, checking sugar levels with a refractometer, and studying weather forecasts. This year's crop was exceptional, the vines heavy with clusters that promised a vintage to rival our legendary 1997 Cabernet. My grandfather's voice echoed in my mind. "The grapes tell you when they're ready, Emily. You just have to listen." I plucked a Cabernet Sauvignon grape, its skin taut and dusty with bloom. It burst on my tongue, a perfect balance of sweetness and acidity. They were ready. As the sun climbed, the vineyard came alive. Workers, some who'd been with us for decades, moved through the rows, their shears snipping clusters with practiced precision. Laughter and Spanish chatter filled the air, a symphony of camaraderie. I joined them, clipping a cluster and placing it gently in a lug. Luis, a grizzled picker with hands stained purple from years of harvests, grinned at me. "These grapes, Miss Emily, they're like 97. Best we ever had." I smiled, my chest tightening with pride. "Let's hope so, Luis. We need a year like that." In the winery, the crush pad buzzed with activity. Grapes poured into the destemmer crusher, the machine humming as it separated berries from stems and gently pressed them. The air grew thick with the heady aroma of fresh juice, fruity, slightly yeasty, like the promise of wine to come. I stood at the sorting table, my eyes scanning for leaves or unripe berries. For our Cabernet, we'd keep the skins in contact during fermentation to extract deep color and robust tannins. The Chardonnay, destined for crisp elegance, would be pressed immediately, the juice flowing like liquid gold into stainless steel tanks. But beneath the joy, a shadow lingered. I'd noticed Ethan, my brother-in-law, acting strangely, furtive phone calls, late nights in the office, and vague answers about marketing budgets. And then there were the discrepancies in our books, small at first, but growing. I pushed the thought aside. Today was for the harvest, for the vines that were my family's legacy, planted by my grandfather over a century ago. As evening fell, I sat in my office, a small room overlooking the vineyard, reviewing the day's yield. The numbers were promising, but something caught my eye. A payment of $50,000 to Vino Consult, listed as consulting fees. I'd never heard of them. My stomach knotted. Something was wrong, and I intended to find out what. The next morning, I found Ethan in the tasting room, pouring our Pinot Noir for a group of tourists. His charm was effortless, his smile disarming as he described the wine's notes of cherry and spice. But when he saw me, his expression faltered. "Emily, what's up?" he asked, setting the bottle down. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady but sharp. "In private." In my office, I held up the financial report. "What's this payment to Vino Consult? I don't know them." Ethan shifted, his eyes darting to the window. "Just a new marketing firm I hired. They've got connections with big distributors." "Without telling me or David?" I snapped. "That's not how we do things." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I thought it was a good move, Emily. We need to grow." "Grow?" I laughed bitterly. "We produce 4,000 cases a year, Ethan. We're a boutique winery, not a factory. Why risk what we have?" He avoided my gaze. "Sometimes you take chances to stay ahead." I wasn't buying it. "Show me the contract." He hesitated, then retrieved a folder from his desk. Buried in the fine print was a clause giving Vino Consult an option to buy Foster Vineyards if we missed financial targets. My hands trembled as I read it. "What is this?" "It's standard," Ethan stammered, It only kicks in if we fail, which we won't. Why include it at all? I shouted. This is our legacy, Ethan. You don't gamble with that. His face hardened. Gamble? Is that what you think I'm doing? I stormed out, my mind racing. That night, I couldn't sleep, the betrayal gnawing at me. Foster Vineyards wasn't just a business. It was my grandfather's dream, a testament to craftsmanship and family. How could Ethan, our marketing manager, and David, my partner in life and business, even consider selling it? I spent the next few nights poring over records, tracing transactions with the help of our accountant, Henry. The truth emerged like a stain. Ethan had been siphoning funds to an offshore account disguised as marketing expenses. Payments totaling over $200,000 had gone to a man named Rocco, a name that sent a chill down my spine. I decided to follow Ethan. One evening, I tailed him to a seedy bar on the outskirts of Napa. Through the grimy window, I saw him hand an envelope to a burly man with a scar across his cheek. Their voices were low, but I caught words like debt and deadline. My heart sank. Gambling debts. Ethan was using our money to pay them off. Digging deeper, I found VinoConsult was a front for VinoCorp, a corporate giant that swallowed small wineries and churned out mass-produced wine. Ethan wasn't just stealing, he was selling us out. I confronted David in our kitchen, the vineyard visible through the window, its rose glowing under the moonlight. Ethan's been stealing, I said, laying out the evidence. He signed deals with VinoCorp to sell the vineyard. David's face crumpled, his eyes filled with guilt. He's my brother, Emily. There has to be a mistake. There's no mistake, I said, my voice breaking. He's betrayed us, and you knew about his gambling, didn't you? David looked away, his silence deafening. I found out a few months ago, he admitted. I thought I could help him without dragging you into it. Without dragging me into it? I laughed bitterly. David, this is our life's work. You should have trusted me. The rift between us grew, a chasm filled with unspoken words. I felt alone, the weight of the vineyard's future on my shoulders. But I couldn't give up. I had to protect what my grandfather had built, what my parents had nurtured, what I had poured my heart into. I enlisted Marco, our master winemaker, who had been with us for over 2 decades. His weathered hands and quiet wisdom were a comfort. We'll get through this, Emily, he said, his voice steady. The vines have seen worse storms. Together, we pored over the financial records, confirming Ethan's theft. We also noticed strange occurrences in the winery, a fermentation tank left open, a batch of Chardonnay tasting off, and a section of grapes left unpicked, rotting on the vine. I suspected sabotage but had no proof, yet. The incidents escalated. One morning, I found a Cabernet tank cloudy, its aroma tainted with a chemical bitterness. Marco was baffled. This isn't natural, he said, sniffing the sample. Someone's tampered with it. I installed security cameras around the winery, focusing on the cellar and crush pad. A few nights later, the footage revealed a figure in a hoodie entering the cellar at 2 a.m., pouring a vial into a fermentation tank. My heart pounded as I zoomed in. It was Jake, a new cellar hand we'd hired 6 months ago. We confronted Jake in the barrel room, the air heavy with the scent of oak and aging wine. Why, Jake? I demanded, showing him the footage. He broke down, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry, Emily. VinoCorp paid me $10,000 to ruin the wine. I needed the money for my mom's medical bills. I felt a pang of sympathy, but his betrayal stung. You could have come to us, I said. We're a family here. Jake's confession was our weapon. I called Sarah, my journalist friend at the Napa Valley Register. Can you expose VinoCorp? I asked. Give me everything, she said, her voice brimming with determination. Meanwhile, Marco worked miracles, salvaging the tainted Cabernet by blending it with a reserve batch. "It won't be our best," he said, "but it'll be drinkable." We decided to enter our best Cabernet in the Napa Valley Wine Competition, a prestigious event that could bring the recognition we needed. Marco and I spent late nights in the winery, tasting the must, adjusting fermentation temperatures, and selecting the perfect barrels. The oak, sourced from French forests, imparted notes of vanilla and spice, a hallmark of our craft. The competition was a blur of nerves and anticipation. The tasting room was packed with winemakers, critics, and buyers, the air buzzing with excitement. I stood with Marco, my hands clasped tightly as the announcer took the stage. "And the gold medal for Cabernet Sauvignon goes to Foster Vineyards." The crowd erupted in applause, and Marco hugged me, tears in his eyes. I felt a surge of hope, the weight of the past weeks lifting. The win brought a flood of orders and investors who valued our artisanal approach, giving us a lifeline. But the fight wasn't over. Ethan's debts still loomed, and Vinocorp was relentless, spreading rumors of our insolvency to scare suppliers. We needed to end this once and for all. David and I arranged a meeting with Rocco in a dingy bar on the outskirts of town. He was every bit the stereotype of a loan shark, burly, with a scar across his cheek and a voice like gravel. "You got my money?" he growled. "We're working on it," David said, "but we need more time." Rocco laughed, a chilling sound. "Time's up. I want my money, or else." "Or else what?" I challenged, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "You'll hurt us? Destroy our business?" He leaned forward, his eyes cold. "Lady, you have no idea who you're dealing with." Just then, Sarah burst in, followed by 2 police officers. "Actually, we do," she said, holding up her phone. "I've recorded everything, and I've already sent it to the authorities." Rocco's eyes widened, and he tried to bolt, but the officers caught him. In the chaos, we learned the truth. Rocco was working for Vinocorp. The corporation had been using Ethan's debts as leverage to force the sale, orchestrating the entire scheme. Sarah's article, published the next day, detailed Vinocorp's predatory tactics, backed by Jake's confession and Rocco's arrest. It went viral, sparking outrage among consumers and regulators. Vinocorp faced a backlash, and their acquisition plans crumbled. Ethan, seeing no way out, turned himself in. "I'm sorry, Emily," he said, tears streaming down his face. "I never meant to hurt you." I nodded, unsure if I could ever fully forgive him, but I wished him well. He was family after all. David and I had our own reckoning. One evening, as we walked through the vines, the stars twinkling above, he took my hand. "I should have trusted you," he said. "I was trying to protect Ethan, but I ended up hurting us." I squeezed his hand, the weight of the past months heavy between us. We both made mistakes, but we love this vineyard, and we love each other. That's worth fighting for. We worked on rebuilding our trust, step by step, recommitting to transparency and partnership. I also spent time with my parents, who had been shaken by the ordeal. My father, who had stepped back from daily operations, confided in me. "You're the heart of this vineyard, Emily. It's yours to lead now." A year later, Foster Vineyards was thriving. The gold medal had opened doors to new markets, and we'd expanded our operations, producing 5,000 cases annually while staying true to our boutique roots. We launched a mentorship program for young winemakers, teaching them the art of hand harvesting and barrel aging, passing on my grandfather's legacy. I stood on the porch of our home, looking out over the vines, their leaves rustling in the breeze. The harvest was approaching again, and I felt a sense of peace. We had faced betrayal, sabotage, and corporate greed, but we had emerged stronger, united by our love for this land and the wine it produced. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the valley, I raised a glass of our 2024 Cabernet, its deep ruby hue catching the light. This was our story, a story of resilience, family, and the enduring spirit of craftsmanship.